Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to a very, very sad case, the case of Summer Wells. Summer Wells is missing. She's missing out in Tennessee. And, I've been here before. This is not my first rodeo. Unfortunately, a lot of these cases, and in fact, the majority of these cases don't turn out very well. So I have my concerns. Most importantly, I have to put a disclaimer out there that everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. With that being said, I think we need to move on and see if we can find out who took Summer Wells. Because I do not believe for 1 minute that this beautiful 5-year-old girl walked away on her own. She's missing in rural Tennessee. Supposedly, she was barefoot. That's the last information we got. It's over 2 weeks ago. How far is a 5-year-old barefoot 40-pound little girl gonna go? Okay, so I think there's something really bad going on here, and we need to try and figure out what it is. When you look at the family of Summer Wells and them being on TV and everything, I would hope that no one jumps to any kind of crazy conclusions, because obviously, they're filled with grief at this point. At least I would suspect they are. And everybody handles grief differently. So please don't try to judge them by anything they say or how they look on TV or in any videos, because it's just not fair. This is a grieving family at this point in time. I like to look at it as a family between hell and hope. This is something a woman by the name of Maggie Bish mentioned to me many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, when her daughter was missing. And her daughter was Molly Bish, very famous case, New England's biggest whodunit. There's no question about it. Molly was eventually found years later, and she had been murdered. And, she was taken home. A friend of mine who was involved with looking for her, Tim McGuigan, who was a detective, was on the police force and then left the police force, but still continued with the investigation. Make a long story short, found her bathing suit, was led to her bathing suit by a hunter up in the woods in Massachusetts. But during the time, it was almost 3 years, I think, that Molly disappeared till the time Molly was found. The family is between hell and hope. And I think the way Maggie put it is the best explanation I have ever heard of. Okay? Because you want to hope, you still have hope that your loved one's still alive. But odds can be going against you. And especially with stranger abductions, you've got 76% of stranger abductions. Usually the girl or the woman or the victim is killed within the first 3 hours. However, that's 76% of stranger abductions. We're looking here at, is this a stranger? Is it not a stranger? And also, the 76% is a number. So that still leaves 24%. Okay? Almost a quarter, almost 25% are not killed within the first 3 hours. So we'll get more into that. The other thing I want to talk about is how quick these things can happen. I mean, these abductions can take place by somebody who's been scoping out the area or scoping out the victim so quickly it's not even funny. In Molly Bish's case, she was gone in minutes off a lifeguard chair at a pond where she was waiting to do swimming lessons. Molly was older. She was like 16, I believe, at the time. What is really unbelievable is she was athletic, she was in shape. But this is how these guys are. This is how these people can operate. They are very smart, they are very slick. And in a matter of minutes, this extremely athletic, beautiful girl was gone. Very, very sad case. We've had too many of these sad cases. Like I said, this is not my first rodeo, and I think, these rodeos just keep building up and adding on to one another. And Summer Wells is the newest. Another girl that was grabbed in seconds, little girl that was grabbed in seconds, was also in Massachusetts. These are just two coming to mind to me that we worked on, was Holly Perrinen. She took her brother, went down to the road to show him the new puppies that were born. They went down to see some neighbors' puppies. Next thing you know, in a matter of seconds, she's gone. Disappeared just like that in a car. Found later dead. Nobody ever arrested for her murder. Okay? So still a lot of people of interest and suspects out there, but yet nobody's been arrested in the Molly Bish case yet or in the Holly Perrinen case. Getting back to Summer Wells. The one thing you have to understand is that the bottom line here is we have to look at various scenarios. This is the best way to try to go through, process, and eliminate various people. And the only way you can do that is you have to have it structured into scenarios. And you have to use your imagination in cases like this. I mean, we have a 5-year-old here who was outside 1 minute, supposedly left the family to go inside, supposedly passed by her brothers who were playing, went downstairs to the basement to play with her toys, and when her mother came in looking for her, she was gone. She had disappeared. Her father believes she could have been taken out the basement door, the back basement door. As I said, you have to look at the various scenarios. And one scenario that we would hop on right off the bat, and I'm sure all of law enforcement out in Tennessee is looking at it, is stranger sex offender. And I would start with the closest sex offenders to the Wells family. Who were the closest sex offenders that lived near the Wells family? That's the first thing I do. I'd look at all sex offenders in that particular zip code, in that particular area, but start with the closest first. You have to understand that whoever grabbed this girl, whoever grabbed Summer, was focused on watching her. I mean, these sex offenders or anybody else that's going to abduct a little girl spends a certain amount of time looking at them and obsessing over them and maybe even fantasizing over them, as sick as it is. So we have to believe whoever grabbed Summer spent time scoping her out. And, that can happen anywhere. I mean, this person could have seen her somewhere and she caught his eye. Somehow he followed them back to the house, or somehow he knew where she lived. Maybe he lives in the area. We'll get into that. But he had to be able to keep an eye on her and know her moves and know when she was alone. Now, I'm talking about, some sex offender that had his eye on her, that was really scoping her out and scoping the family out. Okay? Also, it could be somebody that is not a registered sex offender, but is a pedophile and entertains a lot of sexual fantasies, and probably, or maybe they've acted out already, but they don't have a criminal record, okay? So, it could be somebody that knows the family, knows her, has been attracted to Summer, who wants to spend time with her, wants to spend time with the family. A lot of these guys do this. They work their way into the family as a friend. They want to be around the family, And by doing that, Summer starts to feel safe around this person. She sees this person around a considerable amount of time, so she feels safe with them. So possibly that's a way that this person got Summer to go with them. She felt safe enough to be around them and to be with them. Now keep in mind, again, this girl's only 40 pounds, okay? I mean, I was talking to a very, very bad a sex offender a few weeks ago, and it just so happened, this is even before Summer ever went missing. I asked him, I said, how do you get your hands on girls? How do you grab girls? How do you get them to come to you or whatever? I'm waiting for him to, tell me, come with me and help me look for my dog, which is a ruse they use lots of times. Or, geez, I lost my daughter. Can you, help me find my daughter? Or I lost my cat or something like that, to try and appeal to the empathy of the child, to help them find their lost animal or even, their lost child. I thought that's what I was going to hear from him. And this guy says, well, you know what you could do? You pull up and you could ask the person, the little girl, where a certain street is. Now, you got to make sure it's a street that she's familiar with, street in the area. Now, of course, he's talking about an older girl. He's not talking about somebody 5 years old. And he says, that way they think you're looking for a street and they come over to give you directions. And what you want to try and do is get them close enough. And even if you get them close enough, and of course, he didn't say he did this. He just said this is a possibility, but come on, where did he come up with this at, right? He said, depending on how big they are, and these guys usually focus on smaller women. I think you guys have probably realized that, any of you that are involved with true crime for any length of time, they always like smaller, petite women or very small girls. He said, if you can get them close enough, you could just reach out and pull them right through the window, pull them into the car. Now, that, was pretty striking to me. I didn't expect to hear that. But then it brought me back to the Holly Perinin case out in Massachusetts. And I think pretty much could be exactly what happened. Because she was pretty small and pretty petite. Older, I think a little bit older than Summer. So anyway, somebody that's that small and only weighs, 50, 40, 60 pounds, they can be grabbed, thrown in a car one way or the other real fast. And gone in seconds. See, this is the thing, gone in seconds. I also believe this had to be really, really planned out. So again, I get back to the offender, the abductor, scoping out Summer and scoping out the area. It's really hard for me to believe it wasn't somebody close to the area, close to the family in some way, because they seem to know exactly where to go and how to do it and how to get away. And this residence is in kind of a secluded area, so I don't think it would be real easy for them to know the layout of everything unless they were there in some way. But stranger things have happened. We're going to have to wait and see. Again, it could be a neighbor. It could be anybody that knew the family that might have, might be a pedophile and have, sexual ideations for a very young girl. Very similar to like priests, various priests that have went on for years and years and years, never had a record, never were prosecuted, but yet were pedophiles, and they got to children by, really getting close to the family and making friends with the families. And their only goal was to really get close to the young girls or young boys. Another scenario we have to look at, even though it's not something I choose to look at, but it would be remiss of me if I didn't talk about this and bring it out to you. Sometimes accidents happen in families. Sometimes, a very fatal accident can happen, and you can have one child or somebody in the family unknowingly getting too rough with the child and hurting the child or killing the child and not meaning to do it. It was not intentional. That can be a scenario that could also take place. So in that case, if that happens, you have to look at the whole picture. You've got the girl that's been, the little girl, or it's happened even with little boys, but a little girl that's been killed in the family by an accident. For whatever reason, the family doesn't want to call the police. They don't want to claim anything happened. I mean, what's it going to do? It's not going to bring the little girl back to life. It's not going to bring their daughter or family member back to life. She's gone. She's dead. So they don't report it, okay? They try to cover it up, or they try to use something else, things have been talked about, with neighbors and family members, like with the JonBenet Ramsey case, But I mean, an accident could take place. So now summer's gone, okay? And, there's nothing you could do about it. You're not going to bring her back. But yet, if you call the authorities, maybe the authorities aren't going to understand. Maybe they're not going to understand, that it was an accident. And maybe they're going to look at you, the mother, the father, the other kids differently. And, the family members, the hierarchy in the family may turn around and think, well, again, we can't bring Summer back. However, if we tell them what happened with our other child here, getting rough with Summer or something taking place, I mean, it could be a complete accident, but yet law enforcement won't understand. And I am certainly not saying that Summer's family had anything to do with her disappearance. I want you to understand that, or harming her in any way. I just have to go over various scenarios with you, or I would not be doing my job, okay? So in the case where the hierarchy does not call law enforcement because they're scared law enforcement's going to come in and maybe prosecute the other child, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have Summer gone already. Now you're going to have another child that's going to be leaving the house for whatever reason, wherever law enforcement might take them or do with them or whatever, So you're going to have two children gone, okay? Or if it was a parental abusive situation, you're going to have Summer already gone. You can't bring her back. You're going to have that parent taken out of the house. And maybe the rest of that family needs that parent in order to survive and to move forward. Now, what I will tell you from the bottom of my heart is, from watching the various shows and videos I've watched on the Wells family, I do not see any reason why the family would be hiding anything. I do not see the family exhibiting any signs of guilt to me. That's me personally, for now, for today. But the scenario must be brought out there. The scenario needs to be out there because all avenues have to be looked at. The other thing I want to bring out is that even though we talked about, the vast majority of stranger abductions, and I'm not sure if this was a stranger abduction. I'm not sure if it was a friend of the family kind of neighbor type abduction or something like that. Somebody close by. But I'm feeling it was an abduction right now, and I'm not really, and that's kind of where we're focused for today. But getting back to 76% of stranger abductions, ending in a fatality, I have to say, again, there's that 25% that doesn't. And as you know, we have Elizabeth Smart out there. She survived. We have the Ariel Castro kidnappings, where we had Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus. I mean, we had these women who were abducted, and they were not killed. They were held as captives, as hostages, for many, many years. Some for many years, some for one, I think, for over 10 years. Okay? So just because somebody's been abducted, and even though the odds are against them being alive, still you're looking at a percentage in their favor that they can be kept alive because of, the person's obsession with them and fantasy with them. And, pedophiles are different. They're all a little different. They're not exactly the same. They're all different, and they think differently. So listen, with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me the time to bring this information out to you. It's been a while since we've talked about an unsolved murder case or an abduction case or a missing persons case. It's been a while since we've talked about something like that. We're going to be doing more next week or so, a lot more on this case. Right now, we want to give our sorrows, sympathies, and condolences to the Wells family and the whole area out there, because if she was abducted by a stranger, then you obviously, have a predator on the loose out there. If she was abducted by anybody, you have a predator on the loose out there for the entire area. So it's good for everybody to be on their toes out there. I just can't thank you enough. I just can't thank you enough for all your subscriptions. If you like us, please continue to like us. If you'd like to subscribe, please continue to subscribe. We're thrilled with all your subscriptions. Please continue to comment. We love your comments. And we will be getting back to you. So for now, the most important thing is for you to take care of yourself and stay well out there and make it a great day. God bless. Thank you.